Welcome, we're in the historic surroundings of Narborough Castle in North Yorkshire, where we're perched up high overlooking the River Nidd.
The castle was first built early in the 12th century by one of the Norman barons who came over with William the Conqueror.
Look down, we got trees, we got river, we got moss-covered bridge, all the ingredients for Sky Arts Landscape Artist of the Year.
Over this series, we're challenging 48 talented artists to paint some of Britain's most striking scenery and to capture the landscape in their own unique creative style.
In today's heat are 7 professional artists. Chris Williams, Michael Alford, John Rogers, Dairo Vargas, Anastasia Shimshilashvili, Rick Rawling, and Anne Davis.
I'm a bit scared that I might just blank and just not be able to do anything. I'm absolutely terrified, if I'm completely honest.
And just one amateur artist, John Ball.
I would normally spend 4 to 6 weeks on a painting. Now we've got, what, 4 hours, so it's going to be a bit scrappy.
On hand to scrutinise their efforts are our 3 judges: art historian Kate Bryan, award-winning artist Taishan Scherenberg, and independent curator Kathleen Soriano.
Do you need a bit of a massage? Just let it go, you'll be fine, you'll be fine.
The artists are competing for a fabulous prize, a trip to the Caribbean and a £10,000 commission to paint the view from Firefly, the celebrated Jamaican home of Noel Coward.
A big competition is not the place to be experimenting with new techniques. Make sure you know what you're doing.
And our 8 selected artists aren't the only ones hoping to secure the prize. 50 more artists, our Wildcards, are here to try their luck at winning a place in the semi-final.
I like getting a big dollop of paint, just like that, and throwing it on.
So sit back, relax, and let the contest to find Sky Arts Landscape Artist of the Year begin.
Are those the little cars? They are.
I hate painting cars.
Anyway, look, I'm going to lose now.
No, I'm going to go.
Yeah,
I'm
go.
going to go.
Today, our artists have been presented with a view of Knaresborough's elegant stone viaduct. Built in the 19th century, the bridge was designed to blend in with the already picturesque market town and adds an architectural focus to this idyllic, gentle English vista.
It's picture postcard pretty, but actually that's problematic because we need them to deliver something which isn't sentimental and nostalgic. It's got to be a bit more than that. It's not easy, actually. It's very pretty, but I think it's deceptively pretty.
All of the artists in the competition are chosen on the strength of a landscape painting they submit digitally. So today is the judges' first chance to take in the real things.
Well, I mean, the thing that shouts about this one is the quality of the light that they've managed to capture. It's just phenomenal.
And they've made real characters out of those trees. They're sort of slightly gothic, and yet the whole scene feels really believable.
It's a fabulous composition. I love the way that you've got so much sky and just that tiny bit of landscape. And the sky is fantastic. The clouds are so moody and full of life. Well, we're in another country, by the looks of it, with those onion domes.
You're right, sort of the paint is also from a different country. The colours and the way it's applied, or a different century even.
It feels so authentic. It doesn't feel like it's painted like the 19th century. I'm pretty sure it is from the 19th century.
I'm excited because we get very few entrants from the 19th century.
Yeah.
I don't know why that
Strangely.
I think this is an ingenious composition, sort of having a landscape through a ruin. I think it's a wonderful piece of storytelling.
I like this combination of something very watery and loose, which actually clearly shows you the ink drawing underneath, and that they allow the ink to become part of that watery story.
I think the atmosphere and the light is fabulous. I have a problem with figures in the landscape. I don't know why.
I love the figures in the landscape. I think they're the perfect scale. I can feel the heat coming off it. I love that sort of angle that takes you away from them. I think it's really clever.
This, for me, is just incredibly cinematic. It makes you think of a very stylized movie, something by David Lynch. And it's also got that lovely Edward Hopper sensation of being a sort of slightly foreboding, vacant landscape.
Well, I can feel the kind of breeze. I can hear it rustling. The texture of the front is just fantastic.
Yeah, and they've pulled focus beautifully, haven't they? At the front, all of these leaves, you can feel the quality of the grasses, and then it just gets blurrier and blurrier until we just get these very rough applications of the clouds at the back.
In order to undertake this scenic challenge, what fancy bits of kit have our artists got with them?
I thought I'd splash out new rubber, 50p.
I brought about 1 million brushes, but I probably only used 2. I have got a spray, which I bought last night. It's window cleaner, but I have emptied it and I've put water in there because I forgot to bring one.
My equipment is unsophisticated, is the best way to describe it. My attitude is, you know, the people who painted in the caves at Lascaux thousands of years ago, they were using their fingers and bits of stick. So if they can do that, I can do it with what I've got.
Self-taught painter Rick Rawling recently gave up a 30-year career in the civil service to spend more time developing his art. Originally from Yorkshire, Rick now lives in Bristol. His submission painting shows an early morning near his home and was painted in acrylics over the course of an entire year.
Normally, I am working in bits of stolen time, you know, an hour on an evening, an hour on a weekend and things like that. I never normally have this sort of chunk of time to work in. So, all of my usual approaches go out the window today. I'm just kind of flying by the seat of my pants.
Artists, your challenge is about to begin.
You have 4 hours to complete your landscape, and your time starts now. As the artist begins sketching, drawing and painting, one in particular is trying to get to grips with the view.
I think this might be my first viaduct. I've painted some motorway overpasses, so it's similar. I paint sort of brutal realism, so I choose subjects that people are not normally that interested in, so petrol stations, public toilets, and then I try and sort of instill some sort of beauty into the subject.
Today's only amateur artist, John Ball, works as a maintenance supervisor for a healthcare facility in Essex. His submission is an oil painting of a derelict tourist information centre on Canvey Island in the Thames estuary. I've got to say, John, I walked past you earlier and I said, wow, it's got the lot, this view, and you looked at me as if...
It is a bit much.
Yeah, a bit much. You should work for the local tourist board. Narborough, it's a bit much.
And I come in on the train and you look down over all of that and think, wow. I highly recommend coming by train and visiting Narborough.
Oh, do you? You are working for the tourist board.
As the artists get underway with their task, some quickly covering the canvas, others painstakingly drawing their composition, one of the judges spots a familiar face.
Hello, John.
Good morning, Tom.
Good to see you again.
Yeah, you too.
Different view this time. I think it was Stowe last year.
It was Stowe last year, yes.
But this is pretty good, isn't it?
It's good, yes.
John Rogers is a recently retired commercial artist from London. He took part in 2016's landscape competition, painting the Palladian Bridge at Stowe in Buckinghamshire. John's submission is an oil painting showing a view that captured his imagination on his daily cycle commute along the Thames River.
Now, in your submission, you've got similar arches.
Arches,
You like your arches, don't you?
Yeah, I need to get some darks down, and then I'll put the water, hopefully put the water.
Okay, so you're going to start with build the bridge, basically.
Yes,
to start with. Okay.
yes.
Okay,
but then I'm just to get a feel for where I'm going.
Okay.
And then panic from there.
You've done this before. You know exactly what you do.
Yeah.
Come on in.
Our 8 competitors aren't the only ones painting here today. 50 more landscape artists have arrived, primed to paint the ruins of Narborough Castle. And if one of their paintings catches the judge's eye, they could find themselves with a wildcard place in the semi-final.
Been really looking forward to this actually for weeks, yeah. Yes!
I've got multiple pieces of wood and paper and all sorts, and I'm just going to sketch on each of them and then see which one works best.
This is going to be a background for me then to paint on top of, so this is going to be completely different. Because I found the colours a bit bland for me, so I thought I'd kind of colour it up and make it a bit more technicolor.
Right, you don't like bland?
No.
Wow, so we've got 2 on the go already.
Each one goes a bit Pete Tong. Yeah, which is probably what happens.
I love putting paint onto a canvas or a board.
It's great, isn't
and I
it?
like getting a big dollop of paint, just like that, and you know, and throwing it on, and just not being scared of it.
You don't have the style of a man who's intimidated, I have to say.
Thank you.
In with a definite chance of a place in the semi-final, our 8 artists have been painting for nearly 1 hour. And one of them is already racing ahead.
Michael, are you employing some sort of time-freezing device that's allowing you to fit in an extra 2 hours painting that we're not aware of?
I know speed is of the essence at this point, I think.
Yeah.
But I often paint much, much larger paintings, and yes, you can cover a lot of ground very quickly. You won't get a lot of detail in there, but...
you say that there's not a lot of detail there, but the bridge is very solidly fleshed in. I can see houses in the background. We're less than an hour in, and this is very full.
Shall I stop now?
Michael Alford is a professional fine artist from London. Having started out as a mural painter, eventually he chose to transfer his skills to canvas. His submission is an oil painting of the Sicilian countryside and shows a scene Michael sketched on a family holiday.
The thing that I was really struck by with your submission was that fantastic colour palette, the way that you conjured all of those kind of greys and those peaches, and it didn't look too pretty, actually, despite the fact that it was a lovely pastel, warm colour scene.
You have to fight the prettiness, I think.
Yeah, because I see the colours you're working with here. You've got a lot of these dark blues and earthy browns. Is that going to anchor the colour palette so that we go a bit grubbier than real life?
What I'm trying to do at the moment is anchor the tones. I mean, these colours are almost arbitrary. I mean, it could be a different tone of blue, it could be a black, it could be a grey, or whatever, but it's really just to get the tones down.
I'm so glad that we've got time-lapse tracking it as the day goes by, and I'm really intrigued to see
never
where
mind
we
the
end
quality, just look at the speed.
Now I've got the composition working, I now just want to get paint on everything and no board showing through.
It's quite picturesque. It's not a subject really I would choose. Yeah, I'm feeling a bit panicked now, yeah.
Apparently I'm going much too fast, but I will slow down and drag it out towards the end.
I'm pressured for time, but I'll do it. There won't be an empty piece of canvas at the end. Whether it'll have enough of it in there that I want to achieve at this point, I can't say.
Our 8 artists are 1 hour into their 4-hour challenge to depict this quintessentially English view of Narborough Viaduct. And in painting, just as in building, it's important to get your foundations right.
Anastasia, hello. This is a very beautiful start. You've got the whole composition in. Once you've got all the greys in, are you going to start painting the details on the houses?
Yes. I do underpainting and then drawing, and now start detailing my work.
Russian artist Anastasia Shimshilashvili was born and raised in Moscow, where she began her specialist art education at the tender age of 11. Her submission was painted from life in terrible weather on the northern Russian island of Solovetsky, home to a famous Orthodox monastery. And today, Anastasia's brought a little bit of her homeland with her.
Your submission was an oil painting.
Yes.
Tell me why you decided to change the medium you're using.
Oh, because I want to show you different kind of material. It's not usual material for England. That's used often in Russian academic school.
Oh, okay.
It's called sauce, same with ketchup sauce.
Sauce?
Yes.
I mean, I've never heard of it. Show me what it is. So can you draw with this as well?
Yes, but it's too pigmented for this.
So you grind it down?
Yes.
And then what do you mix it with? Just water or?
Just water. I crush it here.
Okay.
A few drops of water.
That is fabulous.
While some of our artists hail from far-flung corners of the world, one of them's right at home.
Yorkshire landscape does feel very familiar to me, and buildings. I don't always go for the chocolate box view, though, like this. I go for more industrial or more. But this is fine, this is good.
Anne Davies is a professional artist from Saltaire, just 20 miles up the road from Narborough. Her submission artwork shows a view of the canal in Hebden Bridge, another Yorkshire town, and was made in Anne's signature technique of ink pen overlaid with watercolour washes.
My mum taught me to watercolour paint from a very young age, and I think I've just always loved watercolour for that reason. Well, a lot of people think it's harder than acrylics and oils, but I actually don't think it is. Do you see what I mean? And it's not wishy-washy. You can go mad with it. Whether I will today or not, I've no idea.
Ty, we're looking down on the River Nidd.
Is that what it's called?
It is, yeah, with its attendant bridge. There's a lot of trees.
I mean, the whole scene lives off the foliage pressing in on this very small town. The problem here, because we've got no light, is everything's the same tone as that bridge. And then you've got the houses that look like they're sitting on the bridge, on top of the bridge, unless you get it right and sort of push them back.
How would you give me that sense that the houses are behind the bridge?
Quite interestingly, it's about, as we don't have sun and light today, it's very much about drawing. And it's drawing the details. And what we have is the structures of the houses behind and that parapet of the bridge cutting right across it. So that already, that straight line and the train cuts our landscape in two.
What about the train?
Because this is such a picturesque view, having a train that is, is a working train and is moving people around and it's very now, I think that's a very important element. I think it's right.
Can I tell you, if I painted a train on that landscape,
yes,
I'd put steam on it.
No, that's the wrong thing to do.
Chris, how are you feeling?
I'm a bit panicked at the moment. I've got a lot to do, as you can see.
But it's a lovely, lovely exercise in green. There's all these fantastic tones and colours there. You're clearly someone comfortable with green from your submission.
A lot of artists don't like green. I love it.
Do you practice quite a lot? Do you spend a lot of time painting outdoors?
Well, during the summer, about twice a week. I go painting outdoors,
yeah.
Chris Williams is a professional artist from rural Shropshire. A keen nature lover, Chris delights in capturing the English countryside on canvas, and her submission painting depicts a lush green field of unripe barley near her home.
This is quite an unusual approach. Usually we see people do a drawing and then sort of layer it up in one go and build in the details, whereas you seem to be attracted to certain areas. Are you being quite instinctive?
I think I'm being quite disorganised.
Disorganised. It's officially called disorganised painting.
Yeah.
Just own it.
No, I plan to block in all the dark areas.
Yeah.
But in fact, there's such a lot going on. There's such a lot of detail. That it was quite tricky.
Well, don't panic. You're doing really well. You've got plenty of time. And I think these colour palettes are really interesting. You're the master of green, I think.
So, Doiro, we've seen trains going past today. You have gone like an express train at this. Do you normally explode onto the canvas like this?
No, really. When I'm in my studio and I have the blank canvas, always I spend a lot of time looking at it. It's almost like a conversation with the canvas until we both agree somehow that I can start.
And this is a serious thing. It's like an accomplice, really.
Yeah, no, seriously, it's a proper conversation with the canvas.
With a blank canvas.
With a blank canvas, of course.
About what you want and what it wants.
Yeah, exactly.
Colombian Dairo Vargas gave up a successful advertising career in Bogotá to reinvent himself in Britain as a professional artist. His submission artwork is an oil painting made from sketches and memories of a trip to the Cotswolds. When did the big sky begin? Because I looked at your submission. It's a world of sky.
You see, when I came first to England, I was amazed by the skies and I thought it was beautiful.
Well, I like it. So I'm looking forward to this sky. It's quite a special thing. I might come back later and just interview the canvas.
Please do, yes.
In the grounds of Narborough Castle, our 50 wildcard artists are also showing off their myriad talents and techniques.
Fabulous colours here. A little bit of collage. This is very Chinese in the space.
Did you think it was Sky Arts Still Life Artist of the Year?
Did you chuck that down in disgust? All right, you need a bit of a massage. Just let it go, you'll be fine, you'll be fine.
It's been ruined pretty much. I might throw it against the wall and see if it looks any better or something.
The ones I think are doing really well are the ones who are treating this not like a building, but like a cliff. So they're treating it like a natural part of the landscape.
There's a blonde woman who's working on two rather abstract pieces. She's working on the floor, so it's got a sort of Jackson Pollock-like sort of macho painting. I always like that.
What about the lovely young woman with the blonde hair and the fishnet tights? She's been using a bit of the palette knife and end of the brush a little bit, and you've got these forms of the building that look almost like, I don't know, rocks in the Cambodian Sea or something. You know, they look amazing.
Meanwhile, our 8 competitors have been painting for almost 2 hours and are nearly halfway through their challenge.
I've got most of my drawing done. Maybe not quite happy with the composition, but it's a bit too late for that.
And the sun's utter refusal to shine is causing creative frustration.
It could not be more like painting inside a piece of Tupperware, but that's England in summer for you.
I don't know what to do with the sky, because it's not really anything, is it? Just sort of grey. I think a few aeroplanes, Chinook helicopter, perhaps, dragon.
Because it's pretty grey, I'm trying to go for colour rather than the features in the landscape. I'm just going to make it work somehow, hopefully.
In the charming Yorkshire town of Narborough, our 8 artists are already halfway through their painting challenge. In a couple of hours, the judges will have to pick just one artist to put through to the semi-final. So, who've they got their eye on so far?
John's painting today feels so different to his submission. His submission was very tight, very focused, it was much more refined, and he's putting in the paint in a much looser fashion, and actually it's much more naturalistic, the coloration.
I think the drawing was lovely. I really like the drawing. I think some of the painting that's going on, the colours are lovely, I'll give you that. And there is a freedom to it, but it feels a little bit sort of unsophisticated. So I want to get that sophistication into it over the course of the next few hours.
And what about Chris?
I love watching her work. She's right in the zone. And she did the drawing, and then her greens started to appear, and we loved the greens in her submission, and she's worried. I think she's got plenty of time that she won't cover the painting.
OK, Michael.
He produced the most beautiful study. lyrical, the composition was perfect, the positioning of everything within that composition was perfect. And I just almost wanted him to stop there, but it was too soon, it was too quick.
The way he puts the paint on the reduced palettes, sort of cold blues and browns, it was very beautiful. And then he started putting the detail of each building, and I'm worried as he's trying to put the detail in, he's sort of killing its vitality.
OK, what about Anne?
She's got this fantastic vertical slice through the landscape. And the drawings, we expect her to be a very good draftswoman, and she is. She's put it all in place. I'm just waiting for the watercolour to go on.
I feel nervous about the colour choice because you've got to be really careful with this view. It is so pretty that if she goes, you know, just 5% over with the green, we're in really dangerous territory.
The moment of truth has arrived, and it turns out Anne's not even contemplating green.
I usually will say, right, OK, one yellow, one red, one blue, but that could be a turquoise, it could be a pale lemon, and it could be, you know, a crimson or something, or a bright red. But it won't be both of those reds. I will try and sort of think about the colours that are out there, but I tend to make my own up, really. I think the stone out there is quite warm, so I've chosen quite a warm yellow. But mixing with the blue now, it's going quite, you know, so I quite like the random effect you get from that. And there. Right, we're going to have a yellow boat as well.
And Michael's painting has also taken a crucial step forward.
I've started to get going with a richer palette, more colours going on, a bit of green in there. I'm using oil paint, which has much richer colour and more varied subtleties of tone than the gouache I was using before, which I kind of like. It's great for doing things like foliage and water, and it's the tipping point with the painting.
Narborough Viaduct attracts visitors from far and wide, all keen to enjoy this great feat of Victorian engineering. But when it was first built, it got off to a rather wobbly start. In the early 19th century, every part of the country wanted a railway on their doorstep, including Knaresborough. At that time, Knaresborough had a thriving linen industry, even supplying Queen Victoria's palaces. The mill owners were immediately seduced by an efficient new transport system and the benefit it would have to their businesses. Knaresborough would need a viaduct, but not everyone was on board with the idea.
Opinion was divided. Some people regarded it as an eyesore, and the railways themselves were regarded as smelly and noisy, and they didn't want it. But obviously the business people prevailed.
In 1848, after 2 years in construction, the viaduct was nearing completion.
They were just putting the finishing touches to the viaduct, and on March the 11th, the whole thing collapsed into the river. It dammed the river, it flooded properties upstream, killed the fish, and the people who used the river for a water supply at that time, for them it was a complete disaster.
The viaduct took another 3 years to rebuild and eventually opened along with the town's new railway station in 1851. It was around this time that the concept of the weekend was introduced, and Victorian workers started to enjoy day trips by train. Tourists arrived in their droves, and the viaduct and railway were quickly recognised as being the turning point for Knaresborough's fortunes.
It's not just our 8 heat artists competing here in Knaresborough. Our 50 wildcards have spent the day artistically capturing the castle.
Today feels like there's a lot about drawing.
Yeah.
So I have to go
because
for her.
they've all concentrated on that wall, and it is about drawings, all those textures.
And you haven't got any distance, so I think it is much more about the draftsmanship. Yeah.
With a place in the semi-final for one wildcard, who will the judges pick?
I've got a sort of a handful of favourites. We've got the woman who was doing 2 kind of English modernist versions here, who she had them in the first hour and has been sort of faffy. There's also this woman in emerald who was sort of dibby-dabbying. She's got a nice sort of atmospheric thing, very tentative but kind of sensitive. The girl doing the beautiful drawing and the addition of colours, very nice.
She started with a
Yeah,
meticulous
yeah,
drawing.
yeah.
It was absolutely beautiful. I was really hopeful, but I was thinking that's not going to be enough by the end of today. But now she's added some colour, and I think it's brilliant. I love it.
Oh, good.
It's kind of small and understated.
It's not that small. It's about that size.
No, it's not that size matters,
Younger,
of course.
longer,
But she knew exactly what she wanted and what kind of effect she was going for. So if you're happy, yes. Okay. Hello. You're our Wildcard winner today. Congratulations. Thanks for being here today. I hope it's been fun.
Yeah, it has.
Well done. It's a lovely little delicate piece of work. And restrained. Very well done. Okay.
Thank you. I'm really happy. I did not expect it at all. Yeah, it's really, really great news.
Fleur Simon will now join a pool of wildcard winners, and once all the heats are over, the judges will select one of them to go through to the semi-final. On the other side of the castle, and with less than an hour of painting time to go, our 8 competitors are still hard at work on their landscapes. You know, John, the pieces I like here most are the bits you haven't really gone to town on yet. I think the shadows of the pillars are very hard to get right, and they're so liquid. That's a really triumphant bit.
Yeah, well, I'll leave that then.
Leave that then. Now, you used to be a painter decorator for a while.
I still am.
Painter decorator. Is it
Yeah.
easier painting walls?
Yeah.
A great splash of white paint on a wall, easy
Yeah.
peasy.
Magnolia at the moment, industry standard.
So is this a sort of complete relaxation from it?
I think it's the other way around. You can sort of meditate while you paint.
Yeah. So you
Especially
can't
when
do that here.
You've got to think a little bit when you're doing this kind of work.
Chris.
Hello.
You look genuinely alarmed then when I came over the hill, as it were.
I feel a bit panicky because I haven't even filled the canvas yet. So.
No, but there's still time to go. You don't want to peak too early.
I don't think that's going to happen. No.
This bit all looks kind of done.
Well, it's not.
No, it's not done.
But anyway, yeah.
This bit isn't done.
This bit isn't done.
That bit. You have got a lot to do, Chris, you're
I've
right.
got a lot to do.
Well, there's still time. You've got nearly 7 minutes to the end. That was a joke.
I've got longer than that. Even I know that.
I just thought I'd get your adrenaline going.
It's going anyway, thank you.
I'm trying to get the last little bits in. You know, you never know when it's finished anyway, but I'm going to do as much as I can.
You could stop now, couldn't
I know,
you?
well, yeah.
What are you going to do with the rest of the time?
There may be bits that I put 1 or 2 more washes on. Sometimes if I really don't like it, I go back to my standby, which is wash it all off and start again.
I was hoping to be pretty much done by now, but, you know, there's a lot going on in the scene, so trying not to think too much about what I'm doing and how far behind I am.
Things aren't going as smoothly as I hoped. I'm talking to myself, but I'm not listening.
Here in Narborough in North Yorkshire, our 8 artists are in the final moments of their 4-hour painting challenge.
The pressure's on now, isn't it?
You've worked with lightning speed all day, so I'm sure with 15 minutes you can do a lot. So I'm going to let you embrace that.
I'm going to
15
start
minutes.
another painting.
Oh yeah,
so.
do another painting,
Yeah.
quick.
I've run out of brain power. There's limited amount as it is.
Artists, you have 5 minutes left. 5 minutes.
Okay.
I don't think I'm going to fill the canvas. I am feeling the pressure right now, yes.
Artists, your time is up.
Please put down your brushes and step away from your work.
You all right?
Before the judges cast their critical eye over today's paintings, some enthusiastic art lovers offer their opinions.
Just wonderful. It's really clever to do that.
And the perspective of, the buildings and that.
Yeah, that's it. Should have done with some birds flying around and some ducks in the water.
I think this is one of my favourites, definitely. Yeah, same, because it adds the kind of character of like Knaresborough into it, and like you can see that within the painting, which I think is really cool.
Basic question is, would you want this on your wall?
Oh, I could live with it. Would you?
Yeah, could live with it.
Yeah.
The judges now need to pick one of today's artists to put through to the semi-final. It's a difficult decision. So first they narrow down their selection to a short list of 3.
Rick started off with a great piece of drawing, and then he obliterated it all.
Yeah, weird.
And then he's started to tease pieces out again. But I think he's run out of time, really. John's telling us this very strange story. His colours are unusual. The way he's marrying that kind of loose underpainting with the details on the houses, he hasn't overstated them.
He didn't feel like he had to rush to fill in things. He was happy leaving them undone. And I think knowing to leave things undone is a great skill.
I think Anne was another one who knew what to leave out. She's got this fantastic open sweep that takes you through the canvas. I love the drawing. I'm not sure I'm sold on the use of wash in this way.
I mean, the composition is masterful. I mean, she really knows what she's doing.
Dairo's our great cloud painter, isn't he? I mean, I don't think he cared what the sky was like. He had a fabulous cloudscape in his mind, which he has delivered to us.
I think that painting is very fun. I mean, the colours are light and it creates a sense of space and place, but not this one in any way.
Michael started with the most beautiful sketch.
Yeah, I think he got the sense of the day and the space in very sort of abbreviated, very beautiful brush marks.
John's drawing was really fantastic. I love this slant of the viaduct and the way he's gone right in on a close-up. He clearly would have benefited from more time, but I think it's got a really good foundation.
I really admire Anastasia for being so bold as to come today and say, I know what I'm going to do with this luscious green landscape. I'm going to make everything monochromatic grey. And in a way, what she wanted to do was show off the potentials of this source, this medium. I think actually the problem for me is the fact that it's very, very intense. There's no breathing space. I like that Chris is so good with green. She really understands it. You can do these lovely greys, these acidic colours. They sit all together beautifully, all anchored by these sort of lilac greys and with the brickwork.
The range of colours that are in that background are just incredible.
Here, I think she panicked and she felt she needed to fill the canvas. And what it did was sort of deaden what was quite vital and interesting.
So who will make it onto the judges' shortlist?
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah. I thought it was maybe between these 2.
That is more exciting.
Artists, thank you for joining us here today at Knaresborough Castle and for letting us watch your impressive talents at work.
Yes, but I'm afraid it's that moment where the judges have arrived at their shortlist and we have to put you out of your misery and into your area of expectation. The first artist on the list is Chris Williams.
The second artist is John Ball.
And the third and final artist on the shortlist is Michael Alford.
Consolation to all of those who didn't make it, but we really have enjoyed your work today, and thank you for being with us.
From it, I will take away a lot of encouragement, a lot of fun, and, you know, it's worth having a go. It's worth putting yourself out there, definite.
The judges now have to decide which one of the 3 shortlisted artists will be today's winner. What about John B, as I came to call him? Now, you always say to me, it has to be reminiscent of what the experience today of the place. So is it OK to basically remove half the town?
Well, I don't think we're necessarily wanting people to be slavish to the reality in front of them, but I think he conjures a really distinct narrative. He does strange things with colour sometimes. Those ghostly passages of the building between the arches are so believable, and yet they're really exciting to look at. They do something a bit different. And I like the fact that it's a lonely-looking place.
What I love is the way he stayed true to his own style, you know, that he's developing. It's very, very particular. And that bleaching that we see underneath the arches, I think that's the most powerful thing about it.
I love that bit.
What Michael's very good at is giving us a sense of light, the light in the day. So today was a grey, overcast day, which creates a very sort of a clear kind of air between you and the object you're viewing, whereas in his submission, you get that shimmering heat. So that is a great skill to have.
There are sections which really, really sing. That passage on the left-hand side where you're taken, much like in his submission, along that pathway, are just beautiful.
Then we come to Chris. She's just found that balance between abstraction and figuration, where the marks are just beautiful within themselves, but then suggest the buildings and the trees. And that skill of being able to dance across that line, I think she masters it superbly.
Those houses and the rooftops, which are just with that little slick of rectangular pale lilac or beige, you know, it's beautiful.
I think that she handled the buildings in a really, really interesting, quite lovely fashion. I can see from her submission, she's really good, but she's really going to have to work on the time.
Well, we're going to have to decide then, aren't we?
Chris, Michael, John. Sadly, only one of you can go through to the semi-final. However, the judges have made their decision.
Yes, they have, and the artist they have selected is... John Ball. Well done, mate.
Great painting.
Thanks a lot.
Well done.
I'm really pleased for John. It's really good, and I'm glad to have just had the experience today. It was enjoyable.
The best man won, I think, and I hope he, goes through, to the end. And I wish him all the luck in the world.
I'm well chuffed. It's just a really good excuse, isn't it, to get out there and do some painting, meet some other painters. But I'm very nervous about doing it all again.
We picked John because the subject matter today was very difficult, but he was the only one who was able to find a strange narrative mood to it, and at the same time produce a very beautiful painting. His marks are beautiful, and the decisions he made about leaving things out, so you just had this ghostly effect. I mean, he's one to watch, and I'm really interested to see what he does next.